Many of us know the music icon Simon Cowell from the first few seasons of American Idol as kind of the lovable but rude judge. But what a lot of us don't know about Simon Cowell is that he actually worked his way up from the mailroom to becoming a top executive at a music company called BMG. You see, he went from the mailroom to which he was promoted to becoming an assistant for an A&R executive. From there, he actually left that company and then he founded his own record label that he sold to the company called BMG. And after he sold it to BMG, he became a top executive at this company. So he literally went from working in the mailroom to becoming a top executive at a top music company. Simon Cowell, when he entered the music industry, really had no clue what the music industry had in store for him. In First John, in the chapter of not First John, in John, in the first chapter, in about verses 49 through 50, he's recruiting disciples to come with him. Jesus is recruiting his disciples to come with him. And when he's recruiting these disciples, he tells one of these disciples, Nathanael, that he saw him in a fig tree. And Nathanael thought there was no way that Jesus could have seen him in a fig tree unless he was the Son of God. So Nathanael says to Jesus, okay, I understand you saw me in the fig tree, therefore you must be the King of Israel. You must be the Son of God. And Jesus tells him in the first chapter of John, verse 50, he says, you believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree. You will see greater things than this. You see, Jesus is telling Nathanael, yeah, you saw me do this amazing thing, which there is no possible way, unless I was the Son of God, that I could have known this, but you will truly see even more amazing things than this if you follow me. And the first point tonight is that our relationship with God is not a static, stagnant, non-changing relationship. I was baptized on July 17th, 2005, and I thought that this was one of the best spiritual days of my life, and it definitely is. But I think as Christians, it's really, really important for us to understand that it is not the most spiritual day of our life. It is not number one, because this day, it keeps on growing and it keeps on increasing. So the first point of tonight is that our relationship with God is not static, it is not stagnant, and we know that as Christians, we have to be increasing our love for God. Many people will kind of hear that Simon Cowell story and start to think about the Old Testament and a story about Joseph. And I won't tell the whole story of Joseph to you because I want you to go look it up on your own in Genesis. But the story of Joseph starts off with his brothers selling him into slavery. You see, he's sold into slavery, so he's already at a very large disadvantage. But then what happens throughout is that he actually rises to very prominent power in Egypt. And yeah, he does go through trials and tribulations through this, but he really rises to a position of power. And you can read it yourself to see where Joseph ends up. But the point is that, like Simon Cowell, he really went from mailroom to rise into a place of power. And so the second point that I want to get at today is that our relationship with Jesus is dynamic. And so that's kind of like the first one, but it's to emphasize how changing it is. And so our first day when we were baptized is a great day. And I don't want to take anything away from that day that you were baptized or that you may be baptized in the future. But I want to put emphasis on every single day after you were baptized, because every single day after you were baptized can get better and better. In 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9, calling off of the Old Testament, it says, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love him. And this is a great verse to read to somebody at a baptism who is getting baptized, because saying today may feel like an amazing, amazing day, but truly, you literally cannot even imagine what God has in store for you. Simon Cowell, when he entered the music industry, Joseph, when he started his life in slavery, could not imagine what was in store for them in their respective fields. So the third thing that I want to get at is that your relationship with God and your relationship with Christ should be like a marriage. And there's a lot of parallels that you can draw between that. There's a lot of ways that you can make that comparison. But I want to call upon a famous actor. So if you were watching Sunday Night Football, I believe it was the Cowboys-Giants last Sunday, They were playing, and about 20 minutes before the game started, the trailer for Fast and Furious 8 came on. And it looked awesome, comes out in April. I'll probably go see it, maybe. But in Fast and Furious 7, the movie before this one, there was an actor named Aaron Paul, and he's better known for his role in Breaking Bad as Jesse, if you know him from there. But Aaron Paul was interviewed by People magazine a couple years ago, and they asked him to talk about his wife that he was recently wedded to. And he had this to say. He said, "I tell her every day how much I love her." He gushed, "I've got to. If you marry someone, you have to let her know how much you care for her. And I do that as often as I possibly can. She really is the best wife, and she should know that." And then he goes on to say later in the magazine, he says, "I fall more in love with her every day." You see, our relationship with Christ should be like a marriage, because we should fall more in love with Him every single day. We can fall more in love with Him every single day, because we cannot even imagine in our minds the great, amazing things that God has in store for us.